the new accusations against Gosnell are extremely disturbing and shocking to many here in the Charleston community.
Who do you think benefits the most from plea deals being offered?
Cricket Sorrell's family was taken over by happiness after they were told the news that the parole board voted unanimously to keep their sister Tiller behind bars.
Some documents, like this one, mentioning the use of a broom handle, are so heavily redacted that we can't even piece together what allegedly happened.
I wouldn't say unsafe at any time.
Okay, so you don't think it was truly ever posing a serious health risk to firefighters, even though in your own words you said you felt like it was presenting a serious health risk to firefighters.
Mary Brucato was one of 6 siblings, a family that her brothers and sisters say were tied together by grief.
32-year-old Selena Barfield was a young mother living at the Fairmont Trailer Park in North Charleston back in 2003. At what point does DSS need to be held responsible for placing children in these facilities?
This is the first large piece of information that was shared with the public as this deadly boat crash occurred over a month ago.
Since Jamal passed, there have been 15 deaths just in the last 4 years in only the Charleston jail.
And why someone would take a life like they did.
I just can't believe what's happened to Cricket.
You've all got to pay for it.
We were all convinced that he did it.
I want you to look at my face.
Please turn yourself in.
You will all pay for it.
He was a monster then, and he's a monster now.
Deanna Cisneros sits inside her family home 36 years after her sister went missing from Ladson, now acting as the only voice left for the Sorrell family.
It's hard. That's all I can say. This is very hard.
Crystal Sorrell, also known as Cricket, was only 13 years old and heading to Oak Brook Middle School on November 7th, 1990. But she never made it to class.
Police searched into the early morning hours, walking through the paths in this tangled wooded area behind the Oakmont subdivision. They were looking for any sign of 13-year-old Cricket Sorrell.
The next morning, police found Cricket half nude, underwear stuffed in her mouth, and stabbed 4 times in her neck.
She'd been suffocated and probably raped. Beside her body, a pentagram, a satanic symbol scratched in the dirt.
I hate to share this with the world, but he wanted to have sex with her. And she's 13. She didn't want to have anything to do with this boy. And he'd been looking at her prior, okay? And he just didn't know.
Cricket's brutal murder rocked the entire Low Country, bringing 700 people to her funeral.
It shouldn't have been Cricket.
But the crowds eventually moved on, leaving a massive burden of grief haunting the Sorrell family.
It was awful. I mean, it was like yesterday for my parents, over and over again. I seen both of them just wither away with it.
And years passed with Cricket's killer still roaming free, following sheriff after sheriff, including former Dorchester County Sheriff Ray Nash.
I mean, this case went on for a long time. It haunted 3 different sheriffs. It traumatized the community in a major way. There was just this fear that was permeating. Here we had a young girl, a brutal murder, and no suspect in custody. And so you can imagine being a parent of a child in this area during that time. Everybody's just scared to death.
13 years later, an answer finally came. Brian Lamb was charged with Cricket's murder. He was only 14 years old at the time of the crime. Another man, Eric Castro, was charged with withholding key information in the murder.
I'm just so thankful that these people are finally caught.
They took an angel out of this world, away from us, and somebody needs to pay for it.
Full penalty of the law should take place, and they should be convicted.
A year later, the trial began. The majority of the state's case relied on jailhouse informants, Cricket's watch found in Lamb's tent nearby the crime scene, blanket fibers, graffiti, and a potential murder weapon.
Each little piece, when you put it together, points toward him. But it's time now. It's time for justice.
Brian said, they know we killed her.
Lamb's attorneys argued the jailhouse informants were not credible, and there was no DNA or blood directly connecting Lamb to the crime.
Reasonable doubt is smeared all over this case.
Just a few days later, on June 16th, 2004,
indicted for
Lamb was found guilty of murdering Cricket Sorrell.
Verdict.
What he did to Cricket?
Guilty of murder.
This is really not a normal thing. And we've known that all these years. But justice was served today.
What went through your mind when the verdict came down?
That my child could rest in peace now.
There's certain cases you just pull at your heartstrings. This was one of those cases, and to know that it happened here, it was a terrible, terrible crime, but in the end, justice prevailed.
And even with Lamb behind bars, the heartbreak of losing their 13-year-old daughter never left the Sorrells.
But it was every day in this house. You gotta understand. It was every day they lived that, trying to live without her. And my mom, she drank so much. And my dad, he watched her drink. It was horrible. And then he took his life.
It's for Cricket. She doesn't feel any pain anymore. Just between me and the people that are responsible, I hope it's not long before you don't feel any pain.
I miss him so much.
With both of Deanna Cisneros' parents no longer here to speak for Cricket, the burden is placed on her to advocate for her sister's killer to remain behind bars.
And I know he wants it so bad to get out. But I can't bring back any of them. I can't bring back my mom, my dad, or my sister.
Brian Lamb was charged in 2004 before life without parole was a sentencing option, which means now, after serving 20 years of his sentence, Lamb could be free.
Lamb was denied parole in 2024, but soon has a second chance to argue again for his freedom on April 22nd.
And I'm sitting here having to do this every 2 years to keep him there, and he should stay there. He was a monster then, and he's a monster now.
This is one of the few cases in my career, which has almost hit 50 years now, that I have actively opposed parole.
Even with decades between her murder, the 13-year-old cold case, and now Lamb's possible freedom, the life and death of Cricket Sorrell casts a constant shadow over the family. Her sister, now living in the Ladson home Cricket disappeared from on November 7th, 1990.
This house kind of brings it up every day for me.
Cricket's handwriting is still etched, the only thing she left behind.
I just remember them feeling the way they felt. And I felt that every single time I came home. And it's all him, all of it. And if it wasn't for him, me and you wouldn't be sitting here, would we?
Inside the Charleston County Courthouse on June 6th, 2024, Travis Odell stood in front of the man who left him for dead.
I wish that you had to look at all of the pictures and videos of what you did to me on repeat, because you were not there in the hospital when I was dying.
What exactly left him in the hospital dying? Odell was driving a pedicab for customers in downtown Charleston on May 13th, 2022, when he was suddenly hit from behind.
Within 8 seconds, a literal blur goes by. The term someone used was speeding bullet.
Attorneys say Odell was launched more than 80 feet into the air and slid another 60 feet once he hit the pavement.
To put that in perspective, when I was on the step-down floor at MUSC, I was on the 8th floor, which is 8 stories tall. And so I flew about that distance.
Andrew Dimitri, then 22, was driving a black BMW going about 75 miles per hour near Meeting and George Streets.
In the quiet neighborhood of Old Village Mount Pleasant, children practice tennis, bike to their friends' houses, and play with dogs in the park. But a convicted sex offender lives just around the corner.
There is no good place for a child sex offender to live, but this might be one of the absolute worst locations.
Living next door to mother Sarah Mitchell is Travis Reed Gay. Gay was charged with multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a minor in 2023. Last November, Gay pleaded guilty to 1 count, was placed on the sex offender registry, and served no prison time. Gay remained at his parents' Mount Pleasant home.
But you get out to the suburbs, and 1,000 feet isn't very far. And in this case, 1,000 feet does include 3 children's recreational facilities and 2 parks.
Just a month after his plea hearing, South Carolina's Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services arrested Gay for allegedly possessing sexually explicit materials. Gay is still awaiting a hearing in criminal court.
Everyone's upset because this sex offender is back in the courts, even though the law said there would be jail time.
We investigated how many sex offenders live near schools in Charleston County.
We found more than 40 living within 1,000 feet of a school, according to the Public Sex Offender Registry.
For example, 2 convicted sex offenders live within 1,000 feet of Charleston Progressive Academy. A convicted rapist and kidnapper lives 600 feet away from A.C. Cochran Elementary School. A repeat sex offender lives 5 houses down from Daniel Jenkins Academy.
South Carolina law hasn't changed in 15 years, and it's full of loopholes.
There doesn't seem to be any mechanism, if you will, to assist local law enforcement in notifying them of any infractions. And so when I say that it is reactive as opposed to proactive, there's no real monitoring of this.
South Carolina law bans sex offenders from living within 1,000 feet of schools, daycares, parks, and playgrounds, but only if they're convicted of one of 5 specific crimes: criminal sexual conduct with a minor in the 1st and 2nd degrees, assault with intent to commit criminal sexual conduct with a minor, kidnapping a person under 18, or trafficking a person under 18.
Really, every sex offender should have a limitation on where they could live, no matter what the charges are, even if they do plead down, because there really should be a minimum 1,000-foot rule so we can keep our communities safe.
We found examples of offenders living near CCSD schools who are convicted of rape, child molestation, sexual abuse of a minor, criminal solicitation, assault, or possessing child pornography. But these offenders are all legally allowed to live near children because their charge is not included in state law.
Solicitation of a minor, not listed in the statute. Would you want that individual living within 1,000 feet of a playground or a school? Absolutely not. But the statute doesn't cover them at all. And I can't really explain why.
CCSD parent Joy Brown checked the sex offender registry after sending her children to school one day. She discovered something unimaginable.
Actually, the bus stop was the driveway of a sex offender, a registered sex offender.
Brown contacted CCSD and the bus stop was moved within a week.
I think it's shocking to me that everything's falling in the cracks, and we're supposed to be protecting our students. Our kids are the ones who we have to worry about.
State law requires school districts to notify parents at the beginning of each school year about every sex offender living within 1,000 feet of a school bus stop. Brown says she never received that notification.
Knowledge is power, so if we know, then we are empowered to do something about it and to advocate for our kids.
State law hasn't been updated since 2010, years before the rise of social media and online exploitation.
Our legislators have not caught up with any of that, and they have not included every potential offense one could commit against a child.
And even if a sex offender was convicted of one of those 5 crimes, there are still exemptions. Offenders can stay if they lived there before their conviction, before the law took effect, if a school or park was built after they moved in, or they live in a specific shelter or facility.
All of these guys, frankly, belong on the outskirts of society.
Based on our investigation, we found at least 15 registered offenders appearing to be in violation of state law because of the nature and severity of their charges. But verifying whether or not they're in violation of that law is nearly impossible.
The sex offender registry does not publicly list if someone is allowed to live within 1,000 feet because of exemptions.
So if you're trying to, as a concerned citizen, piece this together, you'd have to play super sleuth online to figure out whether they're exempt or whether they're in violation.